Good morning, everyone. This is Russell Rucker. I'm here for another constitutional talk. You know, there's nothing more important than government and having a country than that of defense. And whether you're already in conflict or not, you still have to defend oneself. So, right off the start, you get into the preamble. And the preamble states, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for a common defense." A common defense is one of the most important things, and it's mentioned throughout the Constitution in a number of places. For instance, Article 1, Section 8. Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excise, pay debts, and provide for the common defense and the general welfare of the United States. And even in the Article of Confederation, it orders the states to have in stores armaments, ammunition, these kinds of things, even tents, in order so they may defend themselves as a militia. Okay, then it goes on here to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, define and punish piracy. Now, why would you punish piracy? Because piracy comes to defense. You don't want pirates to seize your vessels. In fact, John Adams' greatest thing he ever did for us while he was president was to keep us out of the war, even when our boats were seized. Congress has the power to declare wars, to grant letters of marque and reprisal. But declaring war. What is in the power of a declaration of war? In a lot of cases, a war is already commenced. For instance, if you look at the attacks on Pearl Harbor, the next day they declared war. Doesn't mean we aren't already trying to defend ourselves. That's an example of how it should work. You're attacked, the next day you declare war, but sometimes an attack is ongoing. If they're taking territory, you certainly have to defend oneself. Then here we go on, still in Article 1, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, for governing such parts of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, and the authority of training of a militia. All this comes down to defense. Even the Second Amendment, a well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. They're talking about the security of a free state. We roll through the Constitution here, and it's just all over the place, where we have to defend ourselves. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duties or tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in times of peace. So it goes on and on talking about the national defense. Clearly, it's probably the most important thing to them. Then we get into Article 2, Section 2. The president shall be commander in chief of the Army, the Navy of the United States, and the militia of the several states when called into actual service of the United States. So, as you see throughout our Constitution, they're talking about national defense. They mention it in the Articles of Confederation. It's an order to the states to have an ample supply of arms, ammunition, armaments, even tents. And all the way through, we're talking about defense. The Second Amendment I mentioned. The third has to do with housing troops. All this comes to the conflict that we were engaged in. The blockading of Boston to the point that we were having to sneak in products so our people wouldn't starve. You had them quarantining troops. You had the shot heard around the world, which was basically Lexington and Concord. You have the Boston Massacre. You have Britain coming over and defending us against Indian attacks during the French and Indian Wars. Time and time again, the primary goal is defense. We have a Department of Defense, formerly known as the Department of War, that is an important thing. We must keep a national defense. We must be ready with a strong military to fend off any attack. And that's the primary purpose of government. War is not a fun situation. It's very serious. You know, when they were called up one by one to sign the Declaration of Independence, you could hear cannon fire in the background. This is reported from one of our founders discussing, he's actually complaining about how we were celebrating the Declaration of Independence. And he brings up what happened when they were all called by one, thinking they were signing their death warrant. Their death warrant. That's what they thought the Declaration of Independence was. They were putting their lives at risk in the hopes that we could have independence, that we could have liberty. And war is an important event of protecting the republic. And there's nothing more important than that. And that's why it's spelled out throughout the Constitution, pretty much all over the place. So I want you to think about that for a moment. I mean, even giving 18-year-olds the right to vote was it so those fighting in war had a chance to decide who their elected officials were that were sending them into conflict. I want you to think about all that for a moment. Think about how important our republic was, how important independence was, how important the Constitutional Convention is. All these things matter to the security of a free state, to the defense of the republic. And with that, I'll leave you today, and I hope you get something from what we're talking about here. Thank you very much for your time. And I'll catch you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. You have a good day now.